Good afternoon and welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I hope everyone has found where they want to be in the links. Uh, so, today we have a keynote speaker. The keynote address is about knowing sales and marketing tools for travel companies to build a strong brand. This keynote address is by the very profound Mr. Chirag Agarwal, the founder of Travclan. Travclan is an online community of travel professionals which aims at empowering small and medium travel businesses. Welcome to Global Travel Meet, Chirag. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thanks so much, Shrishti, for inviting me over.
Now, without further ado, I would like you to take the stage and begin your keynote address.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So this topic is fairly close to my heart, and I'll try to touch it upon in a very different way. And I'll be using a presentation to take you through my thought process and how we do it at Travclan and how you can potentially do for your respective travel businesses. I'll just project the screen. 1 second. Yeah. Perfect. So just to set the expectations, instead of specifically talking about tools, I'll be helping more in the thought process on how you can use sales and marketing tools to create a strong brand. So I won't necessarily talk about how Google AdWords is done or Facebook ads is done or Instagram is done. I'll rather speak on a broader topic, as in what framework can you use to do a good sales and marketing gig. Just to set the context, I'll tell you about what we do at Travclan so that some of the examples that I'll speak about in this presentation, you can relate to it. So we are a B2B platform, and we are an open community in the sense that we have 10,000 plus travel agents who are part of this community, and they can discover suppliers for different destinations, different products, and they can learn about those products and destinations as well. And we have 500 plus suppliers who are on the platform. And as a concept, we started to help travel agents in whatever possible way. So safe transactions is something that we hinged on very early on, because we realized that there are a lot of trust issues when a buyer is doing a transaction with a supplier and money gets stuck. And especially during these COVID times, you would have seen that a lot of travel agents are stuck with credit notes from their suppliers, and which doesn't lead to a good experience for the travelers. So that is something which we tried to solve from very early on. We are a 2-year-old company. We have offices in Delhi and Singapore. And primarily the travel agent network today is in India, but we have a couple of travel agents outside as well. And suppliers we have locally in different states in India and outside India, basis the top destinations that we do. And so currently we are helping travel agents and suppliers as well with the free websites and CRM. And this is something which I'll touch upon during the end of this presentation, because I feel that it's an important sales and marketing tool, and we are offering it for free to the entire travel industry, to be honest. And we have already gotten 2,000 plus travel agents in the last 4 months. Anyway, this is going to be a very small part of the presentation. I'll do the marketing towards the end. So coming straight to the topic, as in what is branding. So all of you might have a different perspective about it. I'll just quickly run a small exercise with all of you. You can post your answers in the chat box. Just 10-15 seconds exercise. As in what comes to your mind when I ask that who is the richest Indian, or fastest pizza delivery, or the top engineering college, or top colleges, or which is the cheapest international destination. And if you want to buy a mobile phone, then what platform would you use? Okay, I see some answers coming in. Great. Ambani, IIT, Amazon, Bali, Thailand, Domino's. Great. Which gets me to the point that okay, the first one is a fact, but second, third, fourth, and fifth, not necessarily. And here the point that I'm trying to make is that these peoples or entities or companies or destinations, they are all brands, right? When somebody asks you that, okay, are you working towards your brand? But many people say that, no, I haven't put in enough money. I don't have time to do it. But all of us need to realize that we individually and our company is already a brand, right? And brand is nothing but what people think about you and what they say about you behind your back, and some will say in your face as well, right? And even after this presentation, you will go back with some perception about me and some perception about the company, some perception about the tools that I talk about, right? And that is also brand building. It might be a positive, you might have a positive perception on certain areas, you might have a negative perception on certain areas, but that is how individually we are wired, humans are wired to function, right? And very common examples specific to travel industry. Uh, for example, somebody says that हाँ इधर trip अच्छा मिलता है, trip सस्ता मिलता है, we get a cheap, we get the best deal from this travel agent. Somebody might have a point of view that they took us good care during XYZ trip, right? A lot of customers today are unhappy that their money is stuck with travel agents. They have either given a credit note or have not been able to refund the complete amount. And therein the problem is that a lot of travel partners, it has been the case with us as well, wherein our suppliers have stopped picking up the calls, right? And those actions are basically what uh, eventually matters, right? You might say that you're empathetic, you care for people, but if you stop picking call of your of your customers, then that is not empathy, right? If you might think that you take good care of your travelers, but if you're not taking good care of your employees, then those employees are also not going to take good care of your travelers, and you might not eventually realize it, but that is how the experience functions, and that is how the branding is eventually getting impacted positively or negatively. And a very recent example, so we were working with two ITA flight vendors actually. So one of them, we were doing almost a crore business every month, and during the COVID time they stopped supporting us. People stopped replying to what's happening on various tickets, and we just simply shut down the business from 1 year to zero, right? And that is how, and that is the importance of your actions, and that directly impacts your brand. Because if offline, if you'll ask me who is the flight vendor, I'll be like, okay, if you are dealing with X person, do it at your own risk. If anyone has any questions, you can keep posting. I'll try to take it towards the end, and if something is relevant in between, I'll try to do that as well, right? And another very simple example of branding is, so there's one company, Brahmanti Tourism. I've just written the short form here. And this line has struck me for the last 5 years. I know them for last 5 years. That she told me that, Chirag, I can arrange for milk bottles, milk for free at select hotels in Dubai. And if you have a few months old infant, kids, I can do that. Right now, whenever some travel agent approaches us asking that they want some kind of special services, now this supplier comes on the top of the mind, even though we don't have a bias, but that is how perceptions get formed and brands get created, right? And one advice to everyone that uh, today is practically the best time to start strengthening your brand for two reasons. One is that even if there was no COVID, I would have said that earlier you realize better it is. You keep on working actively towards your brand creation. And specifically today, because during the COVID times, a lot of us are relatively freer. A lot of us are present here on a Saturday afternoon attending webinars, which naturally means that we have more time compared to our usual business, because sales is not there, or very finite sales is happening, and operations work most of us have wrapped up for the previous trips, and whatever operations is, it doesn't take up the entire day. And again, a simple example which I encountered 3-4 days back. So Blueberry Trails is a travel company in Mumbai, and I worked with them at some point in my career. So they have close to 1,20,000 likes. If you can see my mouse over here, right? And you need to realize that they have been doing this very actively, even during the COVID times. They are posting content on a daily basis, and I think a couple of times in a day. So branding is not something which is short term and which you do from a short term sales perspective. Branding is something that you need to keep on doing. And related to my point, so today is practically the best time to do it because one, हमें anyways करना चाहिए. Second is that all of us have time to do it. So that was very short intro about what branding is, and now coming to the topic, which is around sales and marketing tools, right? Before this session, actually, I spoke with a couple of people, and the thought process is that sales and marketing are used together, and people don't really understand if they are the same thing or if they are synonyms or if there's any difference between the two. So practically, sales and marketing are different, and they are very, very different. I'll draw a clear line between the two. There can be some overlap, but broadly, they are two different concepts, and accordingly, we should be tackling it. Right. So marketing. So this is a bit of academic part, right? So marketing is more outward focused. You'll keep on spending money, and you might not get immediate return. And like I mentioned, it's difficult to track return of marketing activities. For example, if you see a Lifebuoy advertisement on TV, it's not necessary that you'll buy it the next day, right? But you'll remember that, okay, Lifebuoy is a brand which stands for XYZ qualities as a soap. It leads to awareness specifically. People become aware of the brand, whether you do it through a mass media option like print, TV, radio, or you do it through activities like Facebook pages, Instagram pages, or SEO, blogging, all of that. And it eventually leads to customer acquisition. So not necessarily on the same day or same week or same month or same year, but people will remember your brand, and when they actually need that product, they might reach out to you. For example, a lot of you will be seeing diaper advertisements, right? Huggies is there, Pogo is there, but you don't necessarily buy it today. But when you actually are in that state, when you need to buy something related to it, then you would remember that, okay, these two are the brands. So marketing is closely linked to what we have been discussing so far, which is branding. And this is practically long term. You shouldn't think about that I've spent X amount of money today and a week later there should be some result. On the contrary, sales is more short term, more transaction focused, that you spend some money and you get a return to it. So in the marketing, it will be a cost completely, and there might be no immediate return. On the sales side, you can actually track that what effort are you putting in, what resources are you putting in. Resources can be time, it can be people, it can be money, because all of them eventually are expensive. And you can track the return over it, as in if you spend X amount of money, how much money is coming back to you as profits. And fairly easy to track. We'll speak about it in further slides. Right, specific to travel industry. So these are the 4 key activities that come to my mind, at least. That first you reach out to the customers, then you are able to generate some leads out of it. Then you try to pitch your product to them, and a booking might come in or might not come in. Along with that, money comes in, obviously. And then there's the operations part, which is you provide good experience on the ground. Right. So specifically, these first 2 boxes and the repeat and referral that comes out of it. So they are they are part of the marketing activities, and the booking and the money coming in, that's the sales part. Right. So repeat and referral, why it's important is that, okay, you might do some awareness campaign, you might provide good price and you'll be able to convert, and you might provide a good experience as well. But again, then you need to stay on top of the mind of your customer, your traveler, or if you are into B2B, then your travel agent. That yes, you provided a good service, and these are the new products that are coming up, or these are the next trips that they can take up with you. Right. So without staying on top of the mind of your customers, it's unlikely that there will be repeat and referral. All of us, I think, already do that. We keep on sending WhatsApp messages, we keep on sending email campaigns. Some of us do cold calling as well at relevant points in time. Right. Now, when we think about sales and marketing, obviously there are a lot of things that we can do, and the most complex problem is how to shortlist or how to decide what to do among them. So in this presentation, I'll try to simplify it. I'll try to put a structure so that you can run it more efficiently. So some of it is, to be very honest, it might sound academic, but if you think through it and if you think through it practically, you can use it in your daily sales and marketing activities. So I'll request all of you to have a pen and paper ready, because the next 4 slides are the most important slides in this presentation, and everything else you can just build over it. Right. So step 1 is defining your goal. Right. So what I mean by defining your goal is, a lot of us don't know why we are doing sales, and why we are building a brand, or why we are doing a specific activity. And actually, I'll just show you. So my next 4 slides are about this point only, that you should define your goal. And trust me, this is the single most important point in this presentation. Right. So a lot of people have a very short-term goal that, okay, I have to get 1,000 likes on a post, or I want to start some sort of marketing. It can be online marketing, it can be SEO, or I want to increase click-through rate of emails. Right now, you can say that these are, these are sales and marketing goals. But see, practically, getting 1,000 likes doesn't ensure you business. So, and 1,000 likes you might be able to achieve in a day, or in a week, or in a month. Right? What next after that? So I always suggest people to, and that's a good practice as well, that you focus on setting up a business goal whenever you are thinking from a sales and marketing perspective as well, and not just sales marketing, every aspect, to be honest. So instead of setting get 1,000 likes, you should set a goal for yourself that I have to take my business from X to Y. Right. And again, from my experience working with in travel and outside travel, most of the big companies, they have a goal set in their mind that, okay, this is what we want to achieve as a company. So if you look at these public companies which have their annual AGMs, annual general body meetings, and presentations, all of that. So they talk about what they wish to achieve next year, and they talk about what they wish to achieve in the next quarter. So something similar can be applied for our businesses as well. We might be a 1-member team, or a 5-member team, or a 50-member team. It might be B2C or B2B. But all of us need to have a business goal in our mind, instead of thinking कि हाँ अपने को business बड़ा करना है, that I have to grow my business. Right. So instead of having that vague goal, if you put in a number towards it, then it makes it very easy and difficult at the same time, because then you focus on achieving it. But mentally, you'll be clearer that whether you are able to achieve to that goal or not. If you just think that I have to grow, then 10 to 11 lakhs is also good. Right. But was that your goal and goal or aspiration? Maybe not. Right. So you should think about your goals, aspirations before you start off any exercise. And it can be a mix of these goals as well. So not necessarily that you have to think on only one of them, and it can be something else as well. Right. So, and for some people who are at a certain stage in life, or who have certain other priorities, maintaining business metrics can also be a goal in itself. That, okay, I did X number of travelers last year. This year also I want to do something similar, and which is also perfectly fine. You don't have to necessarily grow 2x, 5x every year, or 20% every year. But you need to have something in your mind that this is what I want to achieve. And as a human being, that is how we feel accomplished as well. That, okay, I had set up a X goal and I've achieved that. So again, a very simple exercise. If all of you can just spend 10-15 seconds writing a business goal for yourself, you might or might not share it on the chat. It's up to you. And certainly you can change it, revise it later on. So I'll be speaking about a lot of things, building over it. So if you can write it somewhere, it will make it easier for you to think about in the next steps. Fine, I'll move ahead. Right. And if somebody has written down the goal, or if somebody plans to do that, then I would suggest that you stick it somewhere which you can view every day. For example, my co-founder Arun, he does it on his laptop screen. I keep it on my notes. So it should be visible to you every day, so that you know whether you are working towards it or not. Right. So it's not an academic exercise. So Meander's Quest has actually suggested something to reach to more readers and affiliate from our writings. So I would suggest here again to make it more specific, and it's not just my bias, but to be practical. If you can put some numbers around it, that okay, I did X number of readers this year, and I want to do X plus Y next year, then it makes for a better goal setting. We'll move ahead. So once you have set a goal, what next to do with it, right? And again, there are endless options around it. And like I said at the start of the presentation, we'll not talk about those endless options, but I'll just quickly give you an overview of what top options exist in the market, and you might be aware of most of them. But more importantly, I'll tell you how to think about it. So there can be options which have different attributes. Some of them might be sales focused, some might be marketing focused, some might be short term, some would have a longer term gestation period. For example, SEO. SEO doesn't happen in months or years, in months or weeks, right? It takes years to get to the first page, second page of most searched keywords. Then there can be online, offline options. There can be free versus paid options. Practically nothing is free because your time would go in it. So there also money is getting involved. Right, and offline quickly we'll skip through it. That there are multiple options. There are mass media campaigns which might not be applicable for travel companies like TV ads, print ads, radio ads, because they're fairly expensive and doesn't make sense to do it at a for a B2C travel company unless you are as big as Cox and Kings, Thomas Cook. Cheaper options and more practical options for us as travel companies would be spreading pamphlets, doing telecalling, ensuring walk-ins come in. Right, and most importantly, references come in because references practically are free. You don't have to spend any money on reaching out to people. You don't have to spend any money to uh, uh, any extra money. Typically, their calls would come in, and that's it. Even for walk-ins, your office rent, your office expenses are a cost. At least being a bania, I think from that perspective, as in there is cost associated with more or less everything. Right, even in telecalling, we might think it's free, that there are people, but you are paying to those people, and that is the cost. Pamphlets and walk-ins inherently are less scalable because you can only reach out to finite number of societies, finite number of houses, and also people from areas around you only can walk in. There can be a lot more offline options as well. I haven't tried to list down here, but here the point was to understand, as in which category are your activities falling in. Is it a sales activity or a marketing activity? Do you think return will come in a short term or long term? What kind of investment might be required in it? So having this view is important, and then you can decide what option to go for. Similarly, on the on the online side, there are obvious options: emails, Google Ads, Facebook ads, Facebook page, Instagrams, blog, SEO, and lot more things. Lot more tools are there actually on the online side. Now, an important thing here to just give you an example. The important thing here to realize is that Facebook ads and Facebook pages, for example, not the same thing. Facebook page typically helps you in a longer term branding. Facebook ads will give you short term results. You spend money and you'll get leads the same day, nearly the same day. Right. So we should be conscious about what we are doing, why we are doing, and expectation from that activity should be accordingly. Magic doesn't happen. And there is something which I learned during my college days. So there's a cafe by the name of Cafe Tanstafel, TANSTAFL. So the full form is there ain't no such thing as a free lunch, right? Which applies in the marketing side as well, sales and marketing side as well, right? So none of these activities are free technically. Either your time is going in it, money is going in it, or you'll need to hire somebody or outsource your work to somebody to get it done. But these broad categories should be well thought through so that we know what to expect. Right. So how to decide which activities to go for? Again, very intuitive, but we skip it and we miss it altogether. For example, if your typical customer segment is religious trips, and let's assume older people or families where the decision maker is 45, 50 is making that decision, they might not necessarily be present on Facebook or Instagram. Right. So you should know where your audience is present, and accordingly you should invest money. And so for example, in those cases, maybe spreading pamphlets might be a better option, or maybe running group tours for religious tours might be a better option. Similarly, you should know what their education levels are. For example, if you are in Gujarat and you realize that most of your audience is local language speaking, then spreading English pamphlets or English posters might not have value. So that is very important that you understand. If you understand Hindi, that you should know their nas, right? Nas pata honi chahiye aapko uski, ki how is it that they think, and you should also realize what is it that they value. Often we as travel agents have a complaint that we are not able to beat the price, we are not able to provide a good deal. But to be very honest, it's not always the best price or always the best deal that people are looking for. It's often the knowledge, guidance, on-trip services, and special requests that people are often looking for, right? And if you can convince them in that appropriate way, that then again you can design your sales and marketing activities accordingly. You can do your branding accordingly. And then secondly, obviously, you should know what mix of these activities will help you achieve the goal in the optimal cost, right? You don't have to do everything. Maybe just by running Facebook ads, you might be able to achieve your end goal. And I've taken an example of a company. Let's assume it's Verma Travels, right? And let's assume that the goal that we had set in early, that they have to grow their business 5 times from 10 lakhs to 50 lakhs, right? So mathematical exercise, but extra business required would be 40 lakhs a month, which means around 50 packages they'll have to sell extra, right? And let's assume Vermaji has decided that they want to focus short term and they want to get sales in the next few weeks, few months. And the customer group is younger couples, younger families. Right? Again, a simple example: Google AdWords, Facebook ads, Just Dial. These are the 3 options that come in from a sales perspective, like I showed you in the previous slides. Right? Just Dial is not here, but and CPL is basically cost per lead, just in case anyone is confused about it. What's the cost of getting one query? Conversion percentage is how many people are buying from them, and CAC is cost of acquiring a customer, right? So basically, cost per lead divided by conversion percentage will be your CAC. So I just seen that Google AdWords, Facebook, and Just Dial, let's assume they have certain XYZ CPL, right? Now, what will seem obvious to you as a decision maker is that Facebook ads seem to be the cheapest option because CAC is 500 rupees, right? But something to realize is that it's not just marketing cost which is going in; it's also the employee cost that will go in. If the conversion rate is lesser, then naturally your employee will be able to do lesser sales, right? So you need to account for the employee cost of acquiring a customer as well. So I have added the salary basis, what can be attributed on every conversion. So I assume that 20,000 is the salary of a sales employee, and in one case he or she is able to do 20, second 10, third 32. So there is some some employee CAC, and it then proves the point that maybe Google advertisements is a better option. Obviously, this is assume these metrics which I mentioned. Maybe other 2 are better option, or there might be another 4th, 5th, 6th option which might be better, right? And from here itself, you can realize how much man force do you need to manage that extra work. So this is a planning exercise purely, and but it will better help you understand what exactly do you need to do to achieve that target. Uh, Things don't get achieved randomly ki socha aur ho gaya. We just, that doesn't happen ever, right? And something that you must realize is that we need not do everything. We don't have to put in money in Instagram as well, Facebook as well, Google ads as well. You just need to realize what is it that you want to achieve. You list down your options, and you might be able to do it in free as well. If you just decide to focus on references, maybe you are able to grow your business to 20, 30, 40% of the previous, and that helps you achieve that goal that you had set in. Somewhat repetitive, but these are the 3 resources which are true for any business, not just travel: time, people, and money. Time is, here I specifically mean your own time. People is the people that you hire and you allocate them on certain pieces of work. Money is hard cash coming in, going out. And another important thing to understand when it comes to resources is whether you do it in-house or you outsource it, because like I said, that time also has cost associated with it. So doing everything in-house doesn't make sense, might not make sense. For example, learning Google AdWords, Facebook ads, that might be tricky. This is something, Google Ads is something that we tried to do in the last 3 months, and we haven't still been able to perfect it, or even nearly perfect it. We are still pathetic at it, to be very honest. Right. So better option is to outsource the activity which you don't know today, or maybe to hire somebody from external into the company if you want to run that activity on a continuous basis, and if you think it's worth the investment. So now that we have decided what we wish to achieve, what activities we plan to do, and we are willing to put in resources as well, next step is obviously just hardcore execution, relentless execution. You keep on doing it, right? And while you keep on doing it, it's important that you set certain metrics which you will be tracking. For example, you might start running Google AdWords, but you don't know how much output is coming in, and maybe you'll know after a week, after 15 days, after 30 days, how many conversions came in from it. So an important concept is of understanding lead and lag metrics. So lead metrics are basically early warning signals, right? For example, if you are thinking of washing clothes today, right, an early warning signal might be you check on the weather forecast in the morning if it makes sense or not. Something which happened at my house today itself, so can relate to it. Lag metric would be that it has rained and you realize it wasn't a wise decision, right? In our travel business, early warning signal can be that those bad goals which I had written earlier, they can be early warning signals at best, right? That what are the open rates of emails, what are the click-through rates of emails, and when you're speaking with queries which are coming in from various sources, you can keep on noting down, or you can keep on tracking what is the quality of leads, how likely do you think they are to convert. Because on Facebook, you might realize some of the requests which will come in, they would be like that, I saw good pictures on your advertisement, I just clicked on it, right? So instead of waiting for the things to happen, you can actively look at some metrics in between, right? And that can save a lot of time and money for you. So faster iteration is something which I personally believe in a lot, that you just keep on tracking things on a very regular basis and you keep on iterating over it. It shouldn't be unstable iteration that you don't even give time for it to settle down. So that shouldn't happen, right? So this is the broad framework which I've sort of spoken about, and which I personally think makes sense. That first you decide your goals, aspirations. Just to summarize, then you decide on what you wish to do. You list down all the options. You decide what makes sense as per your goals and aspiration. You allocate resources to it. Then execution tracking, right? And it's possible that once you start executing, you might realize that the goal that you had set in might not be realistic. So this arrow can go over here as well, where you might iterate on your goal. Ideally, that shouldn't happen if we are diligently doing an exercise, right? And we might not know all the right answers on day one. It's perfectly fine. Money gets wasted in some sense, but you'll have some learnings built over it. A couple of interesting industry examples, not specifically to the points that I mentioned earlier. But for example, even the German rail, they advertised to travelers to use their rail instead of other options, right? So they just showed very creative advertisement that instead of traveling to Venice with the Eurail pass or inter-country train, you might just travel to Hamburg in Germany, which will cost only 19 euros versus 486. Similarly, they have compared Colorado. And now I'll talk about something that we do at Travclan, because it sort of captures and it becomes a starting point for a lot of travel companies. So Vacation X is one of our partner travel agents, and we have made a website for them. I'll quickly run you through a quick demo. One second. I hope everyone can see it. So this is a website that we have prepared, and we have a lot of templates for travel agents, and we can make these live within 24 hours. Right. So this is something which this company has done very recently. They didn't invest the money pre-COVID. They have actually invested some X amount of money. They came on a free trial and then they switched to a paid plan. So we have given them a lot of options on their website which are relevant to today. For example, there's a COVID planner. Now, how many travel agents would you know who have a COVID planner on their website? And Their travelers can come and see, okay, if they want to travel to a specific place, then what are the guidelines for it? Everything is mentioned over here. Right? There are traveler guidelines, flight safety, something very up to date. Then we have destination guides for every destination. Now again, it comes to my point that if you know the customer, then you can pitch the right products to them. You can tell them that, okay, you can come on our website and see these destination guides. We have virtual reality section as well. So these virtual reality classes these days are available for 500 rupees, 1000 rupees as well. So your travelers can see actually how the destination looks like, and they can make an informed decision when it comes to deciding which destination to go. And all these things add value in a customer's life because they are able to make a better decision and they value your expertise in a better way. Then there's an online payment gateway integrated automatically. So this is something which we have built. And here the point is that today is a good time to do that investment in terms of time, not necessarily, you might not have the liquidity to invest money, but you should do those activities today. And this is only one example. You might choose to do something else with some other company. It's totally your prerogative. And this is something which we have been able to, and so something which I appreciate about my team is that we quickly pivoted from doing B2B travel packages to creating websites, creating SaaS solutions for travel companies, because we realized that in our times today, it is important for us to engage with the travel fraternity and less about telling them that, okay, these are the products that we sell. So today we are not even catering to most of the queries that come in. And again, I'll show you actually something. I'll try to show you. So we have got weekend getaways as well. Again, we realized that this is picking up. One second. Yeah, so these websites have weekend getaway options as well from the top cities in India, where the maximum demand is. And they have B2C pricing. You can see the B2B pricing as well. And you can upload your own products as well over here. So again, it is about being updated with the industry and responding to it and offering your customers the right thing. This is what we believe as a company is the right thing for our customers today, and which is travel agents. And that in turn will help them be successful in the eyes of their travelers. So I think that is broadly it from my side. I'll just check. Yeah. The last point is, again, I'll repeat it. I like to repeat things so that it gets embedded in people's mind. That today is the best time to start strengthening your brand, right? So today is in bold. It's not bold here literally, but it should be in the bold for all of you. And even after the session, if you have anything, if you want to discuss anything, you can drop me a mail and we can take it forward from there. It's Chirag@Travclan.com. And yeah, now the stage is open. I'm happy to take any questions if there are.
Yes, there are questions. People have put up their questions.
Okay.
I'm going to read out the questions to you. So Vidur asks, hi Chirag, I have launched a travel startup this year, and before we could launch, COVID hit. In such times, do you think my focus should be sales or marketing? We are bootstrapped with limited budget. How do you think we can leverage the current trends?
Fair. So thanks for the question. I sort of tried to touch upon it during the presentation, but yes, see, there are a lot of activities that you can do today as well. And there is no perfect answer to it because you might be doing something else in parallel. You might have another parallel business if your time is going. So it's about making those choices where you want to put in your time. So we as a company consciously decided to keep focusing on travel industry. A lot of travel agents that we work with, they have started doing some parallel businesses. You would already know that many people are doing sanitizers, masks. They are selling thermometers. I know somebody who is trading into pharmaceuticals. They get generics manufactured somewhere and then get it distributed. So first is that it depends on what options do you have individually and what resources do you have. And the resources doesn't have to be money, right? So even with being bootstrapped, you can put in your time, you can put in your employees' time to focus on certain activities. For example, this website is one of those options, right? You can start today focusing on social media content. You can focus on building Facebook pages, Instagram pages. they don't happen overnight. So if you do it today, then maybe when the travel is reviving, you will have a good number of people who are following you, who are interacting with you. So that's a core theme that I wanted to present, that today is a good time actually, because a lot of us have time. I don't know if that answers. Yeah,
I
but
think it
this is a
does.
strong point. This is a strong point of view, to be very honest. But then depends on what your personal circumstances, personal options are. If you're already onto something else, and maybe focusing more on that would be worthwhile.
Vidur said the question is answered.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Vandita, our founder, she asked, travel now is consolidation of different types of travel companies, accommodation providers, experience curators, etc. How should the different companies focus on what will work best for them?
Okay. Okay. So see, it stems from the fact that you first need to understand your customer, right? What form your supplier is taking, that's secondary. Even for us as a company, we first need to understand what type of travel agents are working with us. Are they price conscious, or are they hungry for understanding more about the destination? For example, we as a company realize that most of our travel agents, they are smaller travel agents who have started up their business in last 1 2 years, and all the product offerings that we have are in line with it. So when you think on the B2C side, if now Airbnb experience is a good option, right? It seems innovative, but then you need to
Yes.
realize, is your customer willing to buy it? And it is a very important point for any founder specifically, or any business owner specifically, that they start thinking of themselves as a customer, right?
Right.
But you are not the customer. You need to understand what your customers want, and then you should source the supply, right? Like the religious trips example that I gave you, to them you won't pitch Seychelles, right? But if you know that you have a customer base which is like looking for unique experiences, then yeah, these options make sense.
Right. So
What
I
form
think,
they have, that is secondary. Yeah, Srishti.
should we move to the next question?
Sure.
I think okay. So Aditi asks, now the world has timed out for a while. What are the things companies can work on to improve the brand value? What would be the new parameters for selling your products or services?
Okay. See, first is you would already have a set of customers with you, right? And first is to ensure that they are happy or not with your services, right? Because you will again look to target them. And like I mentioned, that repeat reference is the easiest way of generating business. So you need to ensure as a business owner that you don't lose out on your old business to start off, right? And even, for example, let's assume that in the worst case, you didn't pick up their calls, you didn't answer them, you didn't provide them a good experience. So again,
Right.
today the starting point would be to first reach out to them and tell them by when can they expect a answer. And if you don't have a specific date in mind, it's okay to tell them that we don't know a specific date, right? So that I would say is the starting point when it comes to branding, because again, like I said, your actions will speak louder, right? Second is you should invest in activities which are more marketing focused instead of sales focused. So don't run Google ads today, don't run Facebook ads today. Doesn't make any sense, right? Instead, you should invest on building content. You should invest on preparing a strong follower community on Facebook page or Instagram page. Again, I can tell you from my experience at Travclan, what we did is that we started running weekly webinars. So every week we have 3 webinars from wherein tourism board suppliers come and educate travel agents. Right now, there is no cost associated with it. The only cost is the Zoom license that we have. Right, but because of that, lot of travel agents actually come on our session every 2 days. So it happens Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 p.m. So we don't even need to do a lot of marketing now. People come on that session by themselves because they know they have that thing set in their mind. Ki, हाँ, 4 baje, this session happens. And so personally, I believe that when the travel will revive, we will have more number of travel agents who will be working with us compared to earlier. Because of all these activities that we have been doing. So previously, if it was X, today 4X of those travel agents have already purchased a website from us. They have paid for that website from us. right? So that means that we have already become closer to them. And yes, today it seems like there is no revenue or there is no sales happening, but we are set for future in that sense. So you can think accordingly. What is it that will help you take that leap?
All right. So the last question for the day is by Shweta. She says, I run a venture into offbeat destinations in India. It's a sole proprietorship. I'm revamping the website and also working on IG handle at present. But with the virtual tourism coming in picture, how a small venture owners like me can work around it?
Okay, so see, if by virtual tourism you mean virtual reality, augmented reality. Now this might seem a biased answer. I can't predict future, but I don't have a very strong view about it. That rather, I don't have a very strong positive view about it.
Okay.
I don't think it can replace local tourism. So I've got a VR glass over here, but it doesn't serve any purpose. I still want to I want to go to places. And practically I've been speaking with a couple of hoteliers because of this weekend getaways gig that we are doing. So a couple of properties nearby which are premium properties, for example, Nimrana Resort. There is one more. So they're already at 60, 70, 80% occupancy. So for example, last weekend, one of our travel agents wanted to book something at Nimrana and they didn't get the base option. So the rooms are already full. So people have started traveling, not as many obviously, but people are going to places which are relatively safe. So a 5-star property, resort, fort property, they have lesser number of rooms, lesser interaction with the stuff, right? And you can drive there, so there is no public transport involved. So relatively safer. Personally, I don't think virtual tourism will replace in next 5-10 years at least, because we are far away from it from a tech perspective. Even the best of VR glasses, best of equipment, they are not good enough to provide you that experience.
That is true.
But it can be a good starting point that you can. So it's a way of engaging travel agents. Why we put it on travel agents' website is that so that they can engage with their travelers. Ki yaar, aap aake dekh lo. You can come and see that we are also updated. So that was our logic. But yeah, I don't think it's replacing. So there is nothing to worry. I might be wrong in 5-10 years, but not today.
So Shweta says that she agrees with you and she believes the same thing. That's why she asked your opinion about it.
Okay. Yeah, Shweta, we are aligned on it. I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
Amazing. So I think we have covered all the questions and people have really enjoyed the session. Thank you so much, Chirag, for coming. Thank you so much for all these insights. I for one definitely did not know that there goes so much behind all the planning and you have to be so prompt about handling different platforms when you're just doing one business. So it's not
correct. See, it's about setting a structure to it instead of going everywhere. सब कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं होती. Right? It's just about knowing what you want to do in the best possible way.
So
yeah.
Thank you so much. So I think we'll wrap this session here with Chirag. Thank you so much for coming. He'll be available in the social lounge if you want to connect with him. Ask him any questions personally. He'll mention button and log on to the next session.
Thanks, Shrishti. I think my net got disconnected. But yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for everyone for being here. Good luck.